Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Our topic today is Israel, the Kentucky tornado, Russia, and Ukraine. And I'm going to say some surprising things for you today, but I think they're accurate. Okay, first of all, Israel. This is from HowTurnRadioShow.com, and yes, I do look at a lot of different sources. We get, probably 20 to 50 emails a day from all of you folks out there, and there's my email address up there. If you get some information, please send it to me. It's just that this Hal Turner Radio guy just seems to have the information that fits with prophecy most of the times. So anyway, he says, Israel calls SNAP military drill on Saturday night, as in this past Saturday night, told to prepare for war against Iran. Now, I'm going to read some things, and I'm probably going to do this tomorrow in tomorrow's broadcast, but specifically talking about the prophecies, what they say about Israel and possibly going to war. Anyway, it says the Israeli Defense Forces launched a sudden drill to test combat deployment of its technical logistics arm and its infantry in southern Israel. Thousands of reserve soldiers to be more mobilized tonight, plus armored vehicles, Army says. Saturday night mobilization, somewhat unusual. Numerous reports from widely varying sources now claiming the IDF has been told by Israeli civilian leadership, here it is, to prepare for war against Iran. Am I missing something here? I haven't heard that Iran has done anything deserving of Israel to jump over and attack them. Let's go on. Prepare for war against Iran. Trips to Washington, D.C. didn't go well. Now, I would love to be a fly on the wall to be able to hear what's really going on here, but I don't think we're getting the truth. And I'm not saying HowTurnRadioShow.com is lying to us. I just think that what's really going on here is the Moloch and Baal worshippers are getting tired of their evil, swift financial system being removed and the new evil quantum financial system being brought in, which is eventually going to be the mark of the beast system. They're getting tired of their people being arrested. They're getting tired of the good guys taking over. And again, they said to Benjamin Fulford, we've ruled this planet for thousands of years, and we'll destroy it rather than give it up. That's what they're doing. So what is happening, we're seeing war with Israel. I'm about to get into some other articles here. But all of this, I think, really is behind the scenes the Moloch and Baal worshippers. So who are these people? I'd love to know. I'd love to know name, address, telephone number. But the problem is, the beast, Lucifer is the most subtle beast of the field. And they're hard to find. These people, if you know the name, that's not the leader. If you think you've found the leader, that's not the leader. If you see him on radio or TV, newspaper articles, that's not the leader. The real leaders are very hidden and probably never come out, because that's one of their strengths, being cloaked, being hidden, never come out. So probably, I can't prove it, but probably what's really going on here is this is part of the Moloch and Baal worshippers saying, oh yeah, I'll cause a war between Israel and Iran if you don't let me continue to do my evil practices. Let's go on. This comes to us from BenjaminFulford.net. This is Monday the 13th in his article. It's just part of it. He says, of course, Israel itself is not likely to survive much longer in its current form. What? Okay, now, have to understand, these guys are not prophecy students. And obviously, Benjamin Fulford doesn't know that the Bible says that even if the whole world were to come down around Israel, Israel will always stand. They will never be kicked off of their land ever again. No enemy will ever defeat them. If you want to know where all the victory is going to take place militarily, it's going to be Israel. So he's saying Israel itself is not likely to survive much longer in its current form. No, sorry. Israel will always be there. America won't, but Israel always will be. Let's go on. He says this is related to the imminent fall of the Israel colony of Saudi Arabia. Well, that may be true. I didn't even know Israel had a colony in Saudi Arabia. Let's skip on down to the bottom. He says, what this means is the U.S. military is not going to fight for Israel any longer, so that country now has to ask Iran for protection or else be taken over by Turkey. I think sometimes he's guessing a little bit, and I think sometimes his sources are just flat wrong, and I think in this case, they're just flat wrong. Israel is not going to be taken over by Turkey or any other nation. So just because somebody says, oh, this came to me from some kind of a secret source or something, does not necessarily mean it's true. What we got to do is, first thing we look at that we know is true is obviously the King James Bible. Next thing we look at is when someone says, I had an angel visit or a vision or something like that, and then it comes down to a dream, and then ultimately just the voice, the internal voice in here from God. God said, my sheep will know my voice, and other they will not follow. So we're all supposed to be able to hear his voice. All right, let's go on. He also says, Netanyahu has been recorded calling the Japanese prime minister and threatening to cause Mount Fuji to erupt. What? Oh, yeah, I would love to have the real truth. And I've thought about doing a lot of research and pulling this up, but I don't want to do the research. So I'm going to tell you off the top of my head here. What's really going on, all the way back to Adam and Eve, the devil came to Eve and said, oh, it's wonderful fruit and it will give you knowledge. Okay, so the original deal was, if you eat the fruit, it will give you knowledge. Well, throughout centuries, I think the devil has come to people and said, tell you what, if you will do my bidding, then I will give you knowledge. Now, in the early days, that might mean shipbuilding. I just watched a video somebody sent me the other day. The nation of Carthage was one of the first nations to ever build boats. They were the first nation, according to this video, that was able to use stars for navigation. And guess what? They had a lot of child sacrifice. Throughout history, the deal is, the devil says, I will give you knowledge or technology if you give me what I want. Well, what does the devil want? He wants death. He wants God's creation killed. He wants as much pain and torture as much evil, the very opposite of God. He wants as much evil as is possible. So if you can molest children, if you can put them in cages and electrify them until they're hopping and skipping in the cage and they think they're going to die, and it scares them so much that the adrenaline flows, if you can take that out and you can whittle that down to where you can make an elixir out of that, that's wonderful. And just like with Moloch and Baal back in the days of Moses, I talked about this several times. When Moses came down off Mount Sinai, he looked down and he saw them worshiping a golden calf. And the name of that calf was Moloch. And several scriptures after that, it's also called Baal. And what did Moses do? He commanded them to go in, take their swords, and to slay all 3,000 people that had worshipped Moloch. Because what? They know that the ultimate objective of the Moloch and Baal worshipers is to kill God's creation, destroy. That's what they do. That's what the devil does. He comes to kill, steal, and destroy. Now, when they give him these sacrifices, literally they eat humans, drink their blood. This is the people behind drug trafficking, human sacrifice, human trafficking, child sex trafficking, these sort of things. But when they give the devil what he wants, then a portal opens up, and some of the devil's people, some of them called aliens, some of them called demons, but some of the devil's people comes in and gives them what they want, just like they was told to Eve, knowledge. So the devil is trading knowledge. This is the real big thing. If you really want to understand the world, I'm about to give it to you in 2 sentences. If you really want to understand the devil, kill, steal, destroy, bring pain, exchanges for knowledge, as in high technology. So that means, like, for example, if we could just get the truth with all of this V and this anti-V, all of these people killed, and all of the people sacrificed and put into ovens during World War II, all of those were sacrifices to Baal. So that means that the more people he kills, the more people these Moloch and Baal worshipers can kill for him, the more they get technology. Okay, now let's talk about that a second. What if they had pleased the devil to a maximum degree, and if he were to give them as much technology as he could possibly give them, what do you think they'd have? What kind of technology could the devil give if he wanted to? Do you think he has a time machine? I made a whole video talking about giving evidence to why, yeah, he does. If truth be known, this George Floyd thing, this guy that just happened to be in the right place with his camera pointed in the right direction at exactly the right time to catch the police officer with his knee on the guy's neck and him saying, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. Is that just an accident? Is that just a guy walking down the street, just happened to turn his cell phone on, just happened to catch that? Or do you think the Moloch and Baal worshipers could possibly have a time machine, knew that was coming, and arranged to have that guy there with the cell phone pointed exactly the right direction? Well, I do not know. But see, the Holy Spirit said, Jesus said, the Holy Spirit would lead us into all truth. And I cannot tell you how many times, I think I'm talking about you here too, how many times I knew something in here, in my heart. I knew it, but I couldn't prove it. I knew who was calling when the phone rang. I knew who was at the front door before they rang the doorbell. I knew someone was calling, and before I even answered, I knew what they were going to say. There's been times where, and so by the Spirit, what I'm trying to say is I can't prove it, okay, but by the Spirit, here's some things that I think the devil actually has. Not just time machines, but we know he has scalar wave. What's scalar wave? Scalar wave leaves point A. Unlike radar, it doesn't go to point B, point C, okay, it doesn't do that. It goes from point A all the way out to point F or to point Z without any of the points between. It is interdimensional. It's what probably the most perfect weapon on the planet because it can leave an underground base someplace where they don't even know where it is, and it can appear out here. Now, what can it do? It can destroy anything in the air, on the land, on the sea, under the sea, any place on the globe, anytime they want to, and you can't even prove it's there. The perfect weapon. It can make large areas of the atmosphere extremely hot or extremely cold. So what does that do? Well, that can cause things like tornadoes. That can cause things like earthquakes and volcanoes in La Palma. And in this case, when Netanyahu calls and threatens we're going to cause Mount Fuji to erupt, you better believe him. They have that technology. This is not just garbage. This is just not foolishness. They have that technology. They have the technology. It can also spread like over a city or over an entire nation. Not a plane, not a missile, nothing can get through it. It can be like a total umbrella. They have that technology. They have earthquake technology. They have technology to pull a person's spirit out of their body in the night. We talked about that. The cloning that is going on. They have high technology. Oh, I wish I knew all of the high technology that they had. They have technology I don't even think we can possibly understand. Look, go back to the Tower of Babel. All right, it says that they took brick and they burned it thoroughly. What does that do? Well, if you have the right brick, it turns into crystal. So what were they trying to do? They were trying to build a tower that reached into heaven. Does that mean they're trying to build a skyscraper? No. They're trying to build a giant crystal radio to be able to talk to the demons, because that's the reason God says, if I don't stop it, nothing will be impossible to them. In other words, the devil is going to bring them all kinds of technology, any kind of technology. How do I say it this way? In other words, it's going to be a phone to home, as in the devil's home. The Tower of Babel was basically a giant crystal to talk to the devil. I'll say it again. The Tower of Babel was a giant crystal, or was going to be, to talk to the devil. Why? To get technology, to get knowledge, just like with Adam and Eve. So when Netanyahu, this guy says, threatening to set off Mount Fuji erupting, not a joke. He knows what he's talking about. So this sort of stuff is real. Now let's go on. Very ominous, especially for Sunday. He says, this afternoon, the British Foreign Secretary let me know that he was urging all European countries to, quote, find alternatives to Russian gas. This is all part of it. The tornado, this is all the Moloch and Baal worshippers angry because some of their buddies are getting rounded up and justice served. He goes on to say Europe does not have natural gas reserves and thus must buy natural gas from Russia. Why? Because Russia, 30 years ago, started drilling and hitting extremely deep oil wells. Matter of fact, the deepest well ever drilled in human history is 40,000 feet, and the Russians hold the record. I might add that 3 different verses of the Bible say that massive amounts of oil are found in, 33 different verses say that. Massive amounts of oil will be found in Israel, but 3 of the verses say it is deep. Here, I'll read them. Deuteronomy 33:13, and Joseph, he said, blessed be land deep that coucheth beneath. Genesis 49:25, Moses speaking, blessings of the deep that lieth under. Isaiah 45:3, treasures of darkness, we believe that means crude oil, darkness and hidden riches of secret places. As a matter of fact, perhaps here soon I'll be talking about our vision to find oil in Israel. But the point is, Russia has found massive amounts of oil, lots and lots of oil and gas. And they control Europe by threatening to cut it off. Let's go on. It is widely believed that Russia will simply cut off natural gas supplies to Europe, plunging them into a bitter cold winter, perhaps without electricity also. There could be a war in the European continents in a very short time, possibly even weeks. Ukraine. Why is it? What's the deal with Ukraine? Why do we hear Ukraine in the news so much? We don't hear Turkey. Why Ukraine? Well, the answer is because that's the homeland of the Khazarian Mafia, also known as the Deep State, but we know them as the Moloch and Baal worshippers. The other day I read an article, and it said that the reason they don't want the Russians going into Ukraine is because then the Russians, at least the good guys, if there are any in there, are trying to take over Ukraine to shut down a lot of the evil in there, this Khazarian Mafia. So that's the big bugaboo here. So he says, why the EU and the USA are trying to pick a fight with Russia is a mystery. Well, there's not a mystery. What they're trying to do is shut down the Khazarian Mafia. Some people are speculating that the USA and EU are both broke and need a war to, that's not true, and need a war to divert public attention from the coming economic collapse. That's not true. What they're trying to do is say, just like they told Benjamin Fulford, we have ruled this planet for thousands of years, and we'll destroy it rather than give it up. And we'll destroy it by getting the U.S. to attack Russia in some way, to get Russia to retaliate, to take America out. That's what the tornado was hitting Kentucky, in my opinion. I believe that's what the big ice storm that hit Texas last winter, all of that is scalar wave. I mean, I've lived in Texas for most of my life. I've never seen minus figures. I mean, we have a saying around here, hey, if it snows here, you better look quick because it'll be gone in a day or so. This stayed around for 4 days. As a matter of fact, my lawn used to have, what did they call them? What are those little bugs? What do they call them? I'm blank. The little bugs in the lawn that crawl up on your legs and make sores. Chiggers. There you go. Lawn used to have chiggers. And there was these other kind of sand flies in the area. Gone. Because Texas hasn't had a cold like that in my lifetime. And everybody I talked to said they've never seen that kind of cold. I mean, all of the neighbors around here got frozen swimming pools, and it was amazing. I think it was scalar wave. So what's really going on here is, the real thing is these Moloch and Baal worshipers, the good guys are trying to take them out. And so the Moloch and Baal worshipers are using every trick in the bag, everything they have, Okay, so you arrest some of my good guys. I'll tell you what, I'll kill 100 people of your guys in Kentucky. You're trying to take us out. I'm going to get Russia to attack America. You're trying to take us out. I'm going to get Israel to go attack Iran. I'm going to start so many wars, so many conflicts around the globe. You will finally say, okay. You can have your drug trafficking, your child sacrifice. You can sacrifice him. We will let you rule the planet. We'll continue to let you do what you want to do. And that is the point of the tribulation. That's what we're in right now. Let's go on. Gantz says he instructed Israeli army to prepare military option against Iran. What's this? I mean, Iran, to my knowledge, hasn't done anything to deserve Israel to attack them. I mean, they're not good guys, but have they really deserved this? No. Again, I think this is the Moloch and Baal worshippers say, we're going to destroy the good guys if you keep coming after us. So anyway, this is the Moloch and Baal worshippers saying, you let us continue to rule you and to do evil, or we'll destroy you. Bottom line. I read this in yesterday's broadcast. I'll just quickly cover it again because it makes a good point. Russia threatens U.S. with dangerous consequences. The article goes on to basically say, look, the U.S. stop provoking the Russian bear. You're moving military equipment into Ukraine. You're trying to protect Ukraine. And we're trying to be good guys. We're trying to go over and overtake Ukraine to stop the bad guys, these Moloch and Baal worshippers. But since the evil elite in America are owned, ruled, and controlled by the Moloch and Baal worshippers, we're saying, no, we're going to protect Ukraine. Why not let Russia go in and clean up the Moloch and Baal worshippers? Why not do that? I think that's a pretty good idea. But right now, our government is on the wrong side. Sad day when, I'm not going to say Russia's a good guy because, I mean, how can I say that? But it may be that the Russian leadership right now is better than the leadership in America. Yeah, sad to think. But the point is, all of this is not what the news is telling you. That's my whole point. All of this evil going on here, I'll let you read all of this. All of this evil going on out here, it's really the battle between light and darkness. It's really the battle between, some people call them the Alliance, some people call them the White Hats, I don't know what it is, but the good guys trying to eliminate the bad guys. At the end of the day, what you're seeing here is all of this. Now let's talk briefly about the Kentucky tornado. Fox News, 12/13/2021, Kentucky was the worst hit state by far in an unusual midsummer swarm of twisters. Tornadoes in December? Wait. What causes a tornado? Well, if you've lived out on the plains any time at all, on a hot day, you can see those dust devils, they call them, coming up. What causes a tornado is hot wind. How do you get hot wind in December, especially wind hot enough to make a tornado? Very, very, very unusual. I would even say impossible. But how do you, look at the last line, extraordinary long path of 200 miles. Impossible. I'm not a weather expert, but I think I'm saying this right. You can't have a tornado last for 200 miles. I mean, most of them, if it goes a mile, it was a big tornado. 200 miles? You can't have a tornado in December go for 200 miles unless you have the ability to make the atmosphere in a large area extremely hot or extremely cold as a scalar wave device. This is an attack by the Moloch and the Baal worshippers. So now I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you what really went on, and unfortunately, I don't have any inside sources. I'm just a prophecy teacher, just reading my King James Bible and just listening to the Holy Spirit. In 2017, I memorized the book of Revelation. I was shown a secret door that links the feasts to the prophecies of Revelation. For the first time, the book of Revelation can be understood. It can be put in correct chronological order. I got 30 revelations, 2 visions, and 1 audible voice. One prophetic word said, there's a lock that I put over a word in Revelation. that I'm going to open to you, and it will turn many books written on the end-time message into obsolete books. That's this book. This is the granddaddy. If you want to understand Bible prophecy, that's the book to get. Miss the mark. Well, what is the most important information every beating heart on the globe needs to know? Well, after except Jesus, of course, it would be don't take the mark of the beast, because those taking the mark of the beast do not get soul death, but they're tossed into the lake that burns with fire and brimstone for all eternity with the beast, the false prophet, and 1,000 years later, Lucifer, and they have no escape. Miss the Mark is the book you give to people that you love, you don't want to see tossed into the lake of fire. God's warnings to America explains the modern dreams and visions and audible voices I believe are from God. Dimitri Duduman, Michael Boldea, Leslie Johnson, Henry Groover, Shane Warren, Terry Bennett, Maurice Scalar, Augusto Perez, Doug Metzger, Bree Keaton, and much more. Tribulation Secrets in Daniel explains how to spot the Antichrist early and what to do. His physical appearance, sound of his voice, how he rises to power, the fact that Nebuchadnezzar will be a resurrected Antichrist and beast. He rises from the bottomless pit, explains the 7 final world governments. How pre-trib won. How the big lie beat the truth, and the people would have it so. It settles the rapture question, why pastors teach pre-trib. It explains how the 501c3 board members actually hire, fire, and tell the preacher what he is going or is not going to preach. It also covers the secret door, what is the morning star, what is the wrath of God, eternity entering time, who are the nations, what is an overcomer, proof of the post-trib, and 25 pre-trib questions answered. It will answer the question for you about the rapture. Terry Sock is a prophecy student, and he reads his King James Bible, and he believes in winning souls so much he is supporting the Prophecy Club so that we can win more souls. So if you want to support someone that loves prophecy and wants to win souls, I'm going to send you to cornerstoneassetmetals.com, where you can get all sorts of precious metals, gold, silver, rhodium, palladium, and things like that. cornerstoneassetmetals.com. The good news is EMP Shield has devices the military testing facility says protect 100% against EMP, solar flares, lightning, power surges, backed by a 10-year warranty and a $25,000 insurance policy. View simple video installation instructions for home, vehicles, RV. You can have electricity in a blackout. Use the promo code PROPHECY for a $50 gift card, and it helps your Prophecy Club. These days, emergency food is mostly sold out, but HeavensHarvest.com has all sorts of emergency supplies and food in stock. Their food comes in square stackable buckets, breakfast, entree, protein, fruits and vegetables. I recommend you have at least 12 months of food for each person in your family. Receive a free box of heirloom seeds when you enter the promo code STAN at HeavensHarvest.com. Promo code STAN. Click like, share, subscribe, and send to a friend.